The axe slices through bone, and the scream dies in the man's throat before he hits the ground. Blood sprays across the snow as warriors scatter, but one figure stands frozen, staring at the carnage with cold, calculating eyes. This is Ivar the Boneless, and what terrifies enemies most isn't his blade. It's that no one can predict what he'll do next. He can't walk. His legs are twisted and useless, bones that bend like willow branches. In a society where strength means survival, he should be dead. Viking custom allows parents to leave crippled infants in the wilderness for the wolves. Somehow, young Ivar escapes that fate. His father, the legendary raider Ragnar Lothbrok, sees something in the boy that others miss. Not pity, potential. While other sons practice with wooden swords, Ivar learns to read people like runes. He watches how his father commands warriors, how his mother Aslog manipulates court politics. His brothers run and fight, but Ivar develops a different kind of power, the kind that makes grown men fear a child who can't even stand. By his teenage years, the rumors start. Some say he's dragged into battle on an oxhide shield, directing warriors like chess pieces. Others claim he rides a chariot pulled by thralls, wielding a bow with terrifying precision. The truth is, probably somewhere between legend and reality. But here's what matters. When Ivar speaks, armies listen. The year is 865, and England is about to learn why. Ragnar Lothbrok is dead. The story goes that King Aella of Northumbria threw him into a pit of venomous snakes. Whether that's true or Viking propaganda doesn't matter. What matters is that Ragnar's sons are coming, and they're bringing the largest invasion force England has ever seen. They call it the Great Heathen Army. 3,000 warriors, maybe more, sailing across the North Sea with one purpose: revenge. Ivar arrives with his brothers Halfdan and Ubba. The Anglo-Saxon kingdoms expect a typical Viking raid: hit the coast, grab some silver, sail away. Instead, Ivar does something unprecedented. He conquers territory and holds it. York falls first. The Vikings rename it Jorvik, and Ivar transforms the captured city into a military headquarters. While his brothers want immediate revenge on Ella, Ivar makes them wait. He secures supply lines, fortifies positions, gathers intelligence. This isn't a raid anymore. It's an invasion planned with ruthless precision. When they finally march on Northumbria in 867, Aella's army is ready. Shields lock, spears bristle, and the Anglo-Saxons stand confident behind their battle lines. Then Ivar splits his forces in ways that make no tactical sense. His warriors appear scattered, vulnerable. Aella takes the bait and orders his men forward, smelling an easy victory. The trap springs. Vikings hidden in the flanks surge forward, encircling the Northumbrians like a closing fist. What looked like chaos was choreographed slaughter. Aella's men panic, their organized lines collapsing into desperate clusters of dying men. The king himself is dragged from his horse and brought before Ivar. Now comes the moment that will echo through history. Ivar orders the Blood Eagle, an execution so brutal it still turns stomachs 1,000 years later. They carve through Aella's back, crack his ribs outward, and pull his lungs through the opening like wings. Whether he survives long enough to see his own lungs is debated by historians. What's certain is the message it sends. Cross the sons of Ragnar and your death will become legend for all the wrong reasons. But here's where Ivar becomes truly dangerous. Most warriors would celebrate, get drunk, sail home with the glory. Ivar stays. He looks at the fractured Anglo-Saxon kingdoms, sees weakness, and decides to build something permanent. East Anglia falls next. King Edmund refuses to renounce Christianity and becomes another victim of Viking brutality. Mercia crumbles. One by one, the English kingdoms topple like dominoes, while Ivar sits at the center pulling strings. His brothers want treasure and fame. Ivar wants territory, control, power that outlasts a single raid. Within 5 years, only Wessex remains independent. King Alfred, later called Alfred the Great, watches his kingdom become an island in a Viking sea. The Great Heathen Army has conquered most of England, and at the strategic heart of it all is a man who can't even walk. The Vikings call him Ivar the Boneless. The Anglo-Saxons have other names for him, whispered in terrified prayers. Some claim he's a berserker who feels no pain. Others say he's a sorcerer who commands dark magic. A few suggest his condition makes him literally boneless, able to contort his body in impossible ways during battle. But the real secret to Ivar's power isn't supernatural. It's something far more dangerous, and it's about to tear his entire legacy apart from the inside. The real secret is that Ivar understands something his brothers never will. Fear is more valuable than gold, and power built on intelligence lasts longer than power built on muscle. While other Viking leaders measure success in silver and slaves, Ivar measures it in territory controlled and enemies who surrender before the fighting starts. He doesn't just raid, he administers. Tax systems appear in conquered territories. Trade routes get secured. Local leaders who submit keep their positions, creating a network of collaborators who do the occupation's dirty work. It's the same playbook Rome used to build an empire, now wielded by a man the English consider a barbarian. But there's a problem brewing that even Ivar's strategic genius can't solve: his own brothers. Halfdan grows restless with administration and occupation. He wants to keep raiding, keep fighting, keep collecting glory the traditional way. Oba sees the wealth Ivar's controlling and wants a larger share. The Great Heathen Army starts fracturing along fault lines of ambition and jealousy. Ivar tries negotiating, dividing territory, offering compromises. Nothing works. His brothers don't want to govern conquered land. They want to conquer more of it. In 870, the split becomes official. Halfdan takes his warriors north toward Scotland and Ireland. Ubba heads west, eventually dying in a skirmish in Devon. Ivar stays in East Anglia, ruling the territory he's carved from chaos. For a man who built his reputation on unity and strategic planning, watching his own alliance collapse must sting worse than any battlefield wound. Then the historical record does something frustrating. It loses track of Ivar completely. He vanishes from Anglo-Saxon chronicles around 870. No death recorded, no final battle, no burial site marked with his name. For someone who dominated England for nearly a decade, the silence is deafening. Some sources claim he dies in 873, possibly from his condition finally catching up with him. Others suggest he returns to Scandinavia, living out his years in relative peace. A few Irish chronicles mention a leader named Eamar, who might be the same person, conquering Dublin and establishing a dynasty that lasts generations. The mystery of his disappearance almost makes sense. A man defined by strategy and misdirection would appreciate leaving historians guessing about his final move. What we know for certain is what he left behind. The Viking presence in England doesn't collapse when Ivar disappears. It strengthens. The territory he conquered becomes the Danelaw, a massive chunk of England living under Scandinavian law and customs. Cities he captured remain Viking strongholds for decades. The administrative systems he created keep functioning long after their architect is gone. Alfred the Great eventually pushes back, reclaiming territory and forcing the Vikings into treaties. But even Alfred has to acknowledge what Ivar built. The peace agreement doesn't expel Vikings from England. It recognizes their permanent presence and draws borders around it. That's Ivar's real victory. He didn't just raid England. He made Vikings a permanent part of its landscape. His descendants rule kingdoms for generations. Genetic studies today show Scandinavian DNA woven throughout English populations. legacy of an occupation that began with one man's refusal to accept his physical limitations as destiny. Street names, legal terms, and cultural practices across northern England still carry echoes of the Danelaw, fingerprints of Ivar's conquest, pressed into the very language people speak. But here's what makes Ivar truly exceptional among Viking leaders. He weaponized his weakness. Most warriors would see a crippling condition as disqualification from leadership. Ivar transformed it into psychological warfare. Enemies who expected a weakened opponent instead faced a mind that compensated for physical limitations with ruthless, strategic innovation. His condition forced him to fight smarter, plan deeper, think further ahead than opponents who relied on strength and traditional tactics. Every battle he won wasn't just a military victory. It was proof that intelligence could overcome physical power. Every city that surrendered to him validated the idea that reputation and fear could achieve what armies alone couldn't. He turned perceived weakness into his most powerful weapon, making enemies terrified of what a crippled man could accomplish. The sagas remember him as Ivar the Boneless, a nickname that sounds like mockery but became synonymous with strategic genius. Anglo-Saxon chronicles call him a scourge and a devil. Modern historians debate whether his condition was real or legendary. But everyone agrees on one thing. He changed the course of English history from a position most people would consider impossible. His brothers got their glory and their violent deaths. Ivar got something more valuable, a legacy that outlasted his lifetime by centuries. Not bad for someone who supposedly couldn't walk. The question isn't whether Ivar was boneless. It's whether physical limitations even mattered when a mind like his was running the invasion. And that calculation, that cold assessment of power beyond muscle and swords, points toward an uncomfortable truth about what really makes someone dangerous. The Viking Age didn't end when Ivar vanished. It metastasized. His model proved that you didn't need mythical berserker rage to conquer England. You needed logistics, information networks, and the patience to let fear do half the work. Other Viking leaders took notes. Within decades, massive fleets appeared that made Ivar's Great Heathen Army look like a scouting party. In 865, he brought maybe 3,000 warriors. By the 890s, fleets of 300 ships were hitting English shores, carrying armies 10 times that size. They weren't random raiders anymore. They were professional invasion forces using tactics Ivar had pioneered. The Danelaw he established became a launching pad for further conquests. Viking jarls ruled from fortified towns, collecting taxes, minting coins, running courts. They weren't occupiers waiting to go home. They were permanent residents, building something that would outlast them. York transformed from a crumbling Roman city into Jorvik, a thriving Scandinavian trade hub connecting England to networks spanning from Ireland to Constantinople. This wasn't cultural exchange, it was replacement. In parts of northern England, Old Norse became the dominant language. Place names shifted wholesale. Anything ending in by or thorpe or thwaite marks a Viking settlement. Even today, Yorkshire dialects contain words that trace directly back to the Scandinavian tongues Ivar's forces brought with them. But here's what separates Ivar from every warlord who came after him. They had armies. He had a blueprint. Later, Viking leaders could field larger forces and capture more territory. What they couldn't replicate was the psychological infrastructure Ivar built. He understood that conquest isn't about holding land. It's about convincing the conquered that resistance costs more than compliance. Every publicized atrocity, every theatrical execution, every strategic withdrawal that baited enemies into traps. These weren't random acts of violence. They were calculated investments in a reputation that made future battles easier. The Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, written by people who hated everything Ivar represented, can't help but document his effectiveness. They describe him with the kind of detailed horror usually reserved for natural disasters. That's the tell. They're not writing about a warrior. They're writing about a phenomenon they couldn't stop and didn't understand until it was too late. Modern military academies don't teach Viking tactics, but they should study Ivar's campaigns. He was running asymmetric warfare 1,000 years before the term existed. Smaller force, hostile territory, enemies with superior numbers and defensive positions. His solution wasn't to fight harder. It was to make the enemy's advantages irrelevant. Divide their response by hitting multiple targets. Corrupt their command structure by exploiting political divisions. Turn their population against their rulers by offering better terms. Retreat strategically to create kill zones. Use captives as propaganda tools. Every innovation came from understanding that battles are won before swords are drawn. That's what made him boneless in the way that actually mattered. He wasn't constrained by conventional thinking about how warfare should work. Physical limitations forced mental flexibility, and mental flexibility created strategic options that traditionally powerful warriors never considered. The Great Heathen Army's success rate was absurd. They invaded in 865 and within 6 years controlled everything north of the Thames. Most of their major victories came through negotiation, betrayal, or enemies surrendering before fighting even started. When they did fight, they picked engagements where superior tactics overcame numerical disadvantages. Alfred the Great gets credit for stopping the Vikings, and he did eventually force a stalemate. But look at what he had to become to do it. He copied Viking tactics wholesale, built a navy using Scandinavian ship designs, created a mobile field army instead of relying on local militias, fortified towns using Viking defensive concepts, reformed his entire military structure based on what he learned fighting Ivar's forces. That's defeat disguised as victory. When your enemy forces you to completely rebuild your civilization's military foundation just to survive, they've already won the larger war. England after Alfred looked fundamentally different than England before Ivar, and those changes lasted centuries. The Normans who conquered England in 1066, descended from Vikings who settled in northern France. The legal and administrative systems they brought, built on Scandinavian models. The feudal structure that defined medieval England, influenced by Viking approaches to land management and loyalty. Ivar's fingerprints are all over institutions that shaped the modern world. History remembers warriors who died gloriously in battle. It forgets strategists who reshaped civilizations and walked away. Ivar the Boneless belongs in the second category, which explains why most people have never heard of him. There's no dramatic final stand, no legendary last battle, no tomb filled with treasure, just a crippled man who conquered a kingdom, changed the genetic makeup of a nation, and disappeared before anyone could figure out how he did it. The legacy isn't in sagas or monuments. It's embedded in the structure of England itself. Invisible, but permanent. Exactly how he would have wanted it. So when you're trying to understand what made someone truly dangerous in the Viking Age, don't look at who swung the heaviest axe. Look at who changed the rules of the game entirely. Ivar couldn't walk, but he built an empire that still echoes in English street names and DNA. His brothers got their warrior deaths and faded into footnotes. He got immortality by making physical power irrelevant. That's not just winning. That's rewriting what winning means.